I have a quick layout process video for you today as part of the design team over at the Counterfeit Kit challenge. Our challenge this time was to scrapbook about a birthday and use a list, and I totally forgot to use the list, but what I did do is use lots and lots of layers of pattern paper and zhuzh up that pattern paper with some fun product. Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty, where I create with paper and photos in artful ways. It's kind of funny because this particular story has been on my to-do list for many years, and I don't actually have a real picture from there. So I went to the website of this gift that I received for a birthday and used some of the graphics from their website so I could tell this story. Here is my counterfeit kit for this month, and luckily it has lots of fruit in it because I went that direction with my kit build. And if you haven't seen my kit build, I will link you up to that. All right, I am going to start off this layout with combining my pattern paper. So I chose a gingham print that looks kind of like a tablecloth. And then of course I have strawberries to go with that strawberry photo. So these were chocolate dipped strawberries that my parents had ordered and had shipped to me in the mail or in the delivery service for my birthday. And I love chocolate. I'm a huge chocoholic. And strawberries are delicious with chocolate. So that was a wonderful birthday gift. It turned out to be quite expensive. So it's kind of a one-time birthday gift. So this was a special one. All right, what I'm doing right here is I'm using these 8.5 by 11 papers to stretch across 12 by 12. So I am finding a portion of the paper that lines up with the pattern, and I'm cutting it 1 inch wide, and then I'm going to overlap it the other direction so that the pattern lines up. And it looks fairly seamless when, even in person, that pattern paper works out that way. And that is paper I've had in my stash for many years, so it is fun to use that up. And speaking of stash, I was very frugal in my early scrapbooking days because I didn't have as much money. And I would buy a lot of paper pads because they were more affordable, but I still had a hard time using paper layers because I didn't want to use up all the stuff that I just was able to purchase. So it was a challenge. So after doing a lot of more frugal scrapbook layouts, I am trying to switch my gears into being able to add a lot more paper layers. At any rate, that brings us to the base or the bones of this layout, and this is where I typically stop. However, I'm going to keep going with pattern paper. I am going to add a bunch of stacks of layers to mat my photo with, which I usually use one. So I'm going to go with a lot of different layers here, and like I said, I have a lot of different patterns in my kit, so I'm going to pull out a bunch of stuff to see what I can make work. I decide to go ahead and trim my photo exactly down to a 4x4 square since it was close anyway, and that'll make my math easier for my layers. At first I start off with a whole bunch of different greens, and I'm thinking, I lost my photo here, it's gotta be somewhere. Do you ever just lose things just sitting there? I do it all the time. Okay, so I found a photo that I had just set off to the left, or off to the right rather, and I can get back on track. All right, I did tack down that Cherries Berries title piece, and I wasn't sure if I was going to leave that as the only title or work on it more, but I wanted to get it tacked down because it was rolling around on me as I was trying to get all these layers up. Now, like I said, I was working with mostly greens, and then I decided I needed more of a pop of red in there to tie in with the belly band and the red strawberries. So that works a lot better to get those layers in there. And there's enough kind of subtle contrast between those layers that it works. Now, I just showed you the title that I actually did add. I created those shiny letters in a previous video, so I'll link you up to that if you want to see how I made those. They're getting lost a little bit among everything, and I was trying to outline them with my white Posca pen, but the glue wasn't dry yet, so I was getting glue on the tip of my pen. So I'm going to set that aside, wait for it. I just showed you the sparkle pen that I'm going to use on my strawberries, but I'm going to do that at the very end because it will need to dry for quite a while, and I will smudge it if I do it now. So I moved on to other embellishments. I have one little title or one little phrase piece that I'm going to add to the bottom of the strawberries. I'm going to add some heart-shaped buttons for my love of chocolate. And then I had this little confetti mix of fruit that I had used only a little bit of it, so I have some left here. And this is kind of a perfect place to just sprinkle a diagonal line of this lovely little fruit confetti down, and I will glue that all off screen so you don't have to watch me do that. I do have a little bit of twine that I'm going to thread through my buttons, which are very tiny, but I will make it work. And I do that off screen also because it was a challenge. All right, I am back here. I've decided to pop up my little phrase sticker with some foam to help it stand out. I pulled out a few more embellishments from my kit, and I had strawberry themed embellishments in there from these flare buttons. So I'm going to add those on there in kind of my typical visual triangle. Should I have done the diagonal confetti while I'm also doing a visual triangle? I think maybe not, but so I don't necessarily plan everything out when I'm working on a layout. I just kind of start working and see where things go, knowing that I use certain tactics a lot, like the visual triangle. But you know, the confetti is small enough that I think it works okay, and it's not distracting from that visual triangle. All right, I have those flare badges that I need to pop up on foam because they have awkward shapes to glue down, so foam helps solve that problem. I have a little base of these. They're technically kind of buttons, but they don't have any holes in them, and they're flower shaped, and I've had those in my stash for years and years, and they fit in perfectly with this month's kit. And I've had a lot of them, so they have been on multiple layouts over the years, and they're still going strong. All right, I have a problem. A lot of the papers that I have in this kit are super thin papers. They're from Joann's really cheap paper department, and I had stocked up on a stash of that, and now it's just too flimsy, and I want to mount that onto some cardstock. And I knew this going in, and I should have just made that border initially so that I could mount it on cardstock and have that one more paper layer of detail with that border going around the edge, but I didn't think about it up front, and so I did that after the fact. Okay, so that is yet one more paper layer that we've got going on, and I am finishing up this layout with just a few little sprinkles of embellishments, adding in to those the visual triangle clusters. And now it is time to use this sparkle pin. This is from Hero Arts, and I can't quite remember what it's called. I'll pop the name up on screen, but I did show it to you earlier. And I am just going to outline some of these strawberries. I think part of what makes a mixed media product like this a little more impactful is if you don't do them all, but you have them catch your eye here and there. So that is where I went with that sparkle pin, and I will leave you with some of these close-ups where you can see how it looks once it is all dried. That is it for this time around. If you want to join us over at the Counterfeit Kit Challenge for kit building and layout challenges, I will leave you links to all the information below so you can come join us. Until I am back next time with more crafty videos for you, I hope you have an artful day.